Ohayo gozaimasu. Good morning. My name is Peter Hadi. I'm the architect for Apple's QuickTime technology. I want to thank all of you for coming here so early in the morning. In Chinese, there's a very famous greeting that almost everyone says, which is, "Have you eaten?" or "Li jia ba bui." In the QuickTime team on the Interactive Media Group, we have a new greeting we've developed over the last 2 weeks, which is, "Have you slept?" Done a lot of work to prepare for this presentation. Hopefully, it'll go okay. We're going to talk about the QuickTime Media Layer today. This is Apple's technology for delivering media anywhere to any market. This isn't a point solution. This isn't a new solution. This is something we've been working on for 6 years. If you've come to the Developers Conference, you've seen it get better and better with each passing year. It's a scalable technology. It's absolutely appropriate to use for internet delivery. It's just as appropriate for creating television shows. And today it's being used in all those spaces. It's made up of diverse technologies. It's not just QuickTime. It's not just sound. It's not just video. It's MIDI. It's text. It's 3D. It's virtual reality. And as we'll see today, a bunch of other kind of strange things. What is it? A lot of these things. We deal with a bunch of standards. Standards are important, but they aren't everything. We have to take advantage of the standards where they exist. We have to build on top of them to make them better. QuickTime runs on every hardware and software platform we think you care about. QuickTime 3.0 will ship simultaneously for Macintosh, System 7, and System 8. In fact, it will probably still run on System 6. It will ship for Windows 95, Windows NT. We've demonstrated it running on the SGI and Sun platforms, and we are actively looking at other platforms as well. We have a lot of demos today. In order to get through them, I can't do this on my own, so what I'd like to do is invite up to the stage one of the original members of the QuickTime team, the inventor of the QuickTime file format, Jim Batson, otherwise known as the Wizard of Quick and Time. So our job with QuickTime is to make your job easier, to provide the foundation for doing great media so that you can provide the great tools, the great user experience, the great interactive multimedia experiences that users are looking for. If you're creating content every day, you're working with literally a dozen different file formats: Photoshop, QuickTime Movies, WAV files, AIFF files. You are dealing with all kinds of data, and interoperability is a reality. If you're a developer creating a tool, that means you have to support all these file formats. What a drag. Try to figure out how to parse an AVI file. It just takes forever. The documentation is all wrong. Thank you, Microsoft. You can spend your lives trying to figure out all these different file formats. It doesn't make your application different. It's something you have to do. We're building all this stuff into QuickTime so you don't have to do it. You can focus on what makes your application different. And for users, this will mean that every application has access to all kinds of different files. And we'll add value to existing standards. So as we'll show you in a minute, we can use AVI files under QuickTime, but we can do things with them that nobody else can. So what we're going to do now, take a look at a demo. We'll be using a number of different machines for demonstrations today, including Macintosh and Windows. Please do not get the impression because we show something on one computer that it only works on that computer. Everything in QuickTime 3.0 works on all platforms. We'll start with the demo here. First, of audio format support. We're running as just a movie player. It looks a lot like the same Macintosh movie player you're probably familiar with already. What Tim's going to do is open up 3 different sound files: an AU file from the internet, a WAV file, which is of course standard on Windows platform, and an AIFF file, which is standard on the Macintosh platform. You see he can play all of these using the exact same controls, the exact same APIs. It means it doesn't matter what format the sound was in, you can just use it. Of course, there are some nice things that you can do with QuickTime that you can't do normally on Windows. For example, play 2 of these sounds at once. Built into Windows there's no built-in ability in Windows to mix audio. In fact, even in Microsoft applications, if you try to play 2 different WAV files, it tells you you don't have enough hardware. Strange thing is you do. You just need better software. So Audio is, of course, an important component of this. Something that's often overlooked in multimedia is still images. Still images are absolutely critical for doing overlays, for doing all kinds of different things. So with QuickTime 2.5, we introduced some capabilities to work with stills, and Jim's just going to open up a whole bunch here in a simple viewer application we have. We have support for, actually I'll let Jim run through what the types are here if you've got them on screen.
This is Photoshop. This is actually a GIF. It's a very tiny GIF over the net. Here's a target image, SGI, our favorite, pictures.
Quick Draw Pictures, Macintosh Pictures.
Okay, we have JPEG, another GIF, and a BMP.
So what does this mean to your application? With supporting just a couple calls from QuickTime, you can draw all these file types, whether it comes from SGI, whether it comes from Photoshop, whether it comes off the web in GIF or JPEG format. And we continue to add new things. In QuickTime 2.5, those are all formats we supported. In QuickTime 3.0, we've added Targa, we've added BMP, because those are important on the Windows platform in particular. Later this year, working together with Live Picture, we intend to add support for FlashPics to QuickTime. So as new emerging standards come out, if you support QuickTime, your application is positioned to take care of them, to take advantage of them immediately. You don't have to keep chasing standards, wasting your time trying to implement file format support. But of course, QuickTime is best known for its video capability. So let's take a look at the different video formats it supports. Of course, important to remember that QuickTime is the best format for storing your video in, so we work with QuickTime files, of course. But there are, for better or worse, other ways to store video. One of them, which is of course very important on the Windows platform, is AVI, which is Microsoft's Video for Windows format. We have here an AVI file. Now there's some things about AVI files that, as Macintosh users, you may not know. There is no system-level support on Windows for editing AVI files. If you want to do it, you have to parse the file yourself, play it back yourself, write everything out. With QuickTime, we can edit AVI files just like we edit QuickTime movies. So let's just do that. Just make a simple selection and paste it in. So what Jim has done is taken a WAV file, which is a Windows audio format, added it into an AVI file. He's actually performed editing on two data types which are not native to QuickTime, using QuickTime on Windows, showing that we're not tied to a particular file format. Now another file format that we support that wasn't on our original list of plans is the Flick file format. It's an animation format that's used quite a bit in the DOS world. And there's sort of a little bit of an interesting story behind our Flick support. You can see here that it works. Jim will just set that playing, which is we have a person on our team who wanted to write a file importer pretty much for his whole life, near as we can tell, for QuickTime. And he chose to do the Flick file format because his name was, of course, Chris Flick. So anyway, that's why you got a free Flick file importer out of it. So the lesson here is to please name your file formats after members of the QuickTime team, so we'll write the support for you. Okay. Now there's another popular video format, which is MPEG, which is used quite a bit in the consumer space. Jim's going to show you here is we have our MPEG software running on Windows today. The exact same software we shipped on Macintosh earlier this year. We're making this available on the Windows platform as well. But our MPEG software has some sort of unique features, such as editing, that aren't available from other MPEG players. What we're going to do now, though, is move over to a PowerBook and show you a unique application of our MPEG software. What we have over here is a PowerBook 3400 and an MPEG camera from Hitachi, which Jim is holding up. This camera has a PCI board, a PCI hard disk, which Jim can pop out of the camera, record straight to MPEG, and pop into the PowerBook. Now, of course, it captures MPEG video, and we can play the MPEG video directly from the hard disk. But it also has a still image mode where it captures JPEG images. And since QuickTime can deal with JPEG images, we can display those. But even more interesting, it has a mode where it combines a single still JPEG image with MPEG audio. Now, these are both things that QuickTime can do. What we've done is adapt this software for Hitachi so that when you open up one of the MPEG audio files, it automatically connects it to the correct picture. So that instead of the user having to assemble these two things, QuickTime does it for you automatically. So Jim will just play this.
San Jose's Tech Museum of Innovation a monument to the great accomplishments and the even greater egos of Silicon Valley.
So this is something that we just shot this morning on the camera. What you can see is with QuickTime, we're able to take the MPEG audio and the JPEG and put it into a QuickTime movie. So again, applications that use QuickTime not only can take advantage of advances in file format, but also in advantages of new hardware such as digital cameras, which are becoming increasingly important. What we can do now is go back to slides for a moment. What's sort of interesting to note at this point, if all that QuickTime was a bunch of software that did what you just saw, it would be good enough that most of you should be using it already. We are now 10 minutes into the presentation. We got a lot more stuff to cover. A lot of the stuff that you see in the file format support is stuff that you would be paying for. QuickTime will remain free licensing for Macintosh and for Windows. So you can just build this stuff in. There's no reason not to use it. Now, 5 years ago when we started with QuickTime, we were targeting the CD-ROM market. CD-ROM was just coming out, and we wanted Apple to have a great solution for playing back video from CD-ROM. We got a little bit further into that. We had great success in the CD-ROM space, and the people in the professional video space started to use our technology. But it wasn't quite up to the job. Over the last 3 or 4 years, we've worked very closely together with the key players in the professional media space, people like Media 100, Targa, Radius, to address the issues that need to be taken care of for that market. Key issues are interoperability. You have to be able to move files between different tools. In the past, you would buy a hardware board, and the software and a file format would be all one solution. You couldn't move between different tools. Now you can because of QuickTime. Just about every major professional video solution uses QuickTime. When we went to the National Association of Broadcasters convention 3 years ago, I remember it was very painful. We showed QuickTime, and they laughed. And we learned. We listened to what they had to say. This year, we went back. We won the pick of the show from Television and Broadcast Magazine, a magazine that a few years ago wouldn't have even looked at what we're doing. What I'd like to do now is show you a demonstration, which is a video we made. We edited this entirely on a Macintosh using a VideoVision Studio board and using software such as Adobe Premiere for capture, Radius Edit, Sound Edit, and so forth, working with a variety of tools. This video needs just a short introduction. We sometimes have a hard time securing rights to professional footage. So pretty much what we did is set up a camera and sort of film what was going on in our office last week. I think from there, the video pretty much explains itself. So if we could please switch the video over, we're there. We'll play this video. Man, I'm sick and tired of trying to solve this jerky video problem on Windows. What I need is a musical break.
Look, Peter, I've been looking through this OpenStep documentation, and I can't seem to find anything about QuickTime. I thought you guys told me QuickTime is going to be everywhere. Well, you better have it ready next week, or QuickTime's going to be nowhere.
Hey, Jim.
What is it this time?
I just got this phone call from Gil.
What's he want now?
QuickTime on Rhapsody.
How are we going to do that?
I don't know. Let's see how they're porting the Blue Box.
Their options. Their early attempts were superficial, restricted to appearance and industrial design, but really to match. Form factors proved refractory. Outmoded notions of conservatism were abandoned as the team undertook experiments in radical deformation. Some members, risking the loss of one identity to accommodate the other, perhaps too eager for change, took hasty and dangerous measures. they just didn't get it. Yes! The lesson, to merge is not just to assemble, but to bind. Their results still left much to be desired. To merge is not just to bind, but to fuse. They called upon the transformational power of fire. But to merge is not merely to transform. In the final analysis, to merge is to attain a simple affinity, to achieve absolute unity, to become as one.
Thank you. It is probably appropriate at this point in time to point out that we really do love Macintosh. I'd also like to thank Dr. Emilio for offering to be in this video before seeing the end of it. So, what you can see, and what I hope you noticed during that, is you didn't think you were watching a QuickTime movie, but we were playing 5 megabytes a second through that Macintosh, through QuickTime. We were playing straight to the screen, and people go straight to tape with QuickTime. They go live to air on some occasions. And you're going to be seeing more and more of that. What that means is you're building on an industrial strength solution when you choose QuickTime. Now there are other emerging standards in the digital video world, and if we don't keep track of them, if we don't keep pace with them, we'll fall behind. QuickTime won't be the best solution anymore. One of the most important emerging standards in the sort of prosumer and professional space is DV. These cameras, digital cameras, are on a price range of about $2,000 these days. They're pure digital. They use FireWire, an Apple-invented technology, to transfer the digital data into the Macintosh. This is changing the industry because it's making higher quality video available at much lower cost. Unfortunately, most of the computer industry has looked at this and is worried because they think they have to go out and create new applications specifically to edit DV. On the QuickTime team, as you could see, we're a little lazy. We try to find other solutions. What we discovered was DV is just video, so it ought to just work. It ought to just work with existing applications. So we worked together with a bunch of people doing DV, including Adaptec. We'd like to show you a demonstration of what we've achieved thus far in QuickTime 3.0. What we have here is a Macintosh running Adobe Premiere. This is a version of Adobe Premiere that has no specific support for DV. We've got a FireWire camera out here. What Jim's going to do is do a simple video capture using Adobe Premiere. I'm going to move out here so he has some motion.
Okay. Or not.
See anything? There you go, we got some lights. Oh, yeah. He's capturing, it's transferring the digital data in from over FireWire into the computer. Doesn't preview it at this point. Do we have a canned piece of footage?
Yeah.
Let's switch to the canned footage. What you would have seen is it capturing it over FireWire. What's nice about the transfer is it's purely digital. There's no digitizing going on, so there's no noise introduced into the signal. What we would have gotten was a file which is just DV data. It's not a QuickTime movie, but we can open it in any application. So now, what's nice about QuickTime's DV support is it can support software only. DV is a lot like JPEG or MPEG and requires a lot of processor power to play back. We've built a high-performance optimized version of a DV decoder into QuickTime. So without any additional hardware, users will be able to view and edit their DV content. And because it's QuickTime, there's nothing special about editing it. I can edit DV just like I can edit movies, just like I can edit AVI files. What's important to see here is, again, that we can adapt to these new technologies. We can go back to slides now, please. A few years ago, QuickTime had a hard enough time playing one channel of video, one channel of sound. The machines have gotten much faster. We needed to find some new ways to burn those cycles. The hardware guys now can support 2 or 3 channels of video simultaneously. So we want to be able to do things with that. So we've built into QuickTime 3.0 effects and transitions architecture. So let's take advantage of new hardware coming out, both in the video area and also in the software area. In the past, special effects and transitions have lacked standardization. Different interfaces are used in different applications. You can't move effects descriptions between applications. QuickTime will solve that. We're working together with a group of people in the industry to define how effects are described. so they can be moved back and forth between applications seamlessly. This is going to have a major impact on the way people edit video using computers today. And of course, we've built into QuickTime not only support for hardware, but a rich set of software-only effects. So if we can go to demonstration now, please.
Okay.
We'll look at this on the Macintosh. There's an organization called SMPTE, which takes care of all the television standards. They have a really fascinating book that defines 120 standard video effects. If you were doing a new application to support special effects and transitions, you'd have to sit down and write 120 different transitions just to be able to say you support SMPTE standard. With QuickTime 3.0, you don't have to write any of them. They're all built in. So Jim is showing you the random SMPTE wipes, where each time he plays this video, it chooses a different SMPTE effect. As you can see, these are sorts of the standard things that you'd be used to. And it is actually taking 2 channels of video, only in software, and mixing them together using different effects. Of course, the SMPTE wipes are useful, they're important, but they're not sexy. And we wanted to do some things that were a little more interesting. We've got another effect here, and we'll be building a number of other kinds of effects in, such as dissolves, that we're opening up here, that uses a gradient. This is a technique that's used by a lot of people in Adobe After Effects, for example.
Sorry.
And we opened the wrong one. And what it lets you do is take an image map and apply it to a transition. So what you'll see here in a moment, there we go, is an effect which is quite different from the kinds of things you're used to seeing. But it's being rendered only in software and providing a very unique look. So these sorts of things your application will be able to take advantage of seamlessly with QuickTime. It'll mean that all kinds of effects, not just the standard ones, can be moved between applications without any problems. Now another effect that's very popular, very common, is chroma key, where you have something shot in front of a blue screen and then you composite it over some video. QuickTime's been able to do this in the past, but the performance hasn't always been as good as we would have liked it. So as we were looking at effects, we went and improved the performance of our chroma keying. So what we have here is one of the videos you've seen before with stuffed animal chroma keyed in Tob. We call this the dancing turkey technology. This is all well and good on a Macintosh, but let's take a look at it over on the Windows computer. There's a company called Intel, you may have heard of, that produces microprocessors, and they know quite a bit about optimizing code for them. They have a video technology called Indio. Indio Interactive is currently only available on the Windows platform, and we've worked with Intel to integrate Indio with QuickTime. And the nice thing about QuickTime is it provides access to unique capabilities that their software supports that the system software on Windows has not supported in the past. So what we've got here is a video, and you can see by itself it's pretty boring. It's black for a lot of it, and then moving into it, there's just sort of this dancing guy. The first thing we're going to show you is that Indio actually supports copy protection on your content. So if we go and close this movie, right now we can only see part of it. But if we go to the QuickTime control panel, which looks a lot like the QuickTime control panel on a Macintosh, and we go to the access keys, we can add in the password for this particular piece of video. The password is quite simple in this case. Close the control panel up, and we'll open the same movie again now. What you'll see is because the access key is available, we now see all of the video. But what you'll also see is we play over the transition where the dancing man was, that Indio is actually compositing those two things together using QuickTime's special effects architecture in real time using their software Indio technology. So what we're kind of excited about here is that QuickTime is actually providing new opportunities for people on the Windows platform, and hopefully encouraging them to bring their great technology to the Macintosh platform as well, because it's so easy to do. So, we've talked about video, we've talked about the special effects capabilities of QuickTime. Let's move into the multimedia space for a little while. If you've come to the Developers Conference over the last few years, you've probably seen us show demonstrations of our sprite technology. We first introduced it in QuickTime 2.1. To be honest, it hasn't been adopted the way we had hoped. Rather than blaming you, we went back and looked at what we were doing, decided we needed to add some more features. We needed to make it do some things that you couldn't do so easily on your own. There are a lot of changes to the Sprite stuff in QuickTime 3.0. It has amazing media integration capabilities. Easy to combine with QuickDraw 3D, for example. Easy to combine with video. It's a great data type for the internet. We showed some of that capability during Ellen Hancock's demonstration. We're also providing authoring capability for sprites for the first time with a plugin for Director, so that you can take your Director score and convert it to a QuickTime sprite movie. And you can download that off of our website today. I'd like to show you a demonstration of some of the movies that we've made. These were all made with Director. We'll start out on the Windows machine. First thing I'd like to show you is our transparency capabilities. Jim will just play this. What you'll see here is we've got a cloud. No, I'm going to switch to bit depth. What we're able to do is enhance what Director is able to do on its own. For example, it doesn't support an alpha channel. But when we create the QuickTime movie from a Director animation, we can add an alpha channel. So that cloud is casting a real shadow on that logo that's behind it. The smoke is really transparent, the way smoke should be in the real world. And that's something that's almost impossible today to do with other animation engines. We can model other real-world effects, such as a bubble. We can take some rendered fire that we have, and things such as rendered 3D objects. Now, rendered 3D is fine. This is pre-rendered. But Apple has this really great cross-platform 3D technology called QuickDraw 3D. So we should be able to use that here. So let's open up another version of this movie. Now, replacing the goblet would be too easy. It would be a standard demonstration. What we've done is replace the cloud with a spinning Macintosh. Watch the drive slot when it comes around the next time. That's right, lightning from your Macintosh. So, the ability to combine 3D seamlessly along with video with your sprites, very important, very unique capability of the QuickTime Sprite engine. QuickTime sprites are a reasonably small data type, but there's ways to make these things even smaller. A picture of a cloud that's used in an animation is reasonably small. Just a sprite that says, I would like you to draw a cloud here, and doesn't contain any other data, is even smaller. What you see here is a rendered cloud. There's no data behind it. There's a fractal bitmap generating this dynamically. What this means is the data size of this is equal to just the picture plus a couple of extra bytes to say I want a cloud. It means that for internet kinds of delivery, you can very easily add animations, add other capabilities without having to increase your data size. Take another look at an example of a render. We showed you Fire before, which was sampled. This is rendered Fire. QuickTime gives you the ability to put any movie on Fire without having to add any extra data to it. We've built a number of different kinds of renderers into QuickTime to enable low bitrate delivery of very unique looking kinds of things. Now on the internet, you're always trying to get the data rate down. Apple has had great vector technology in its products for a long time. QuickDraw GX has provided an amazing ability to create bitmaps. To create vectors. Display PostScript will continue that tradition. Vectors are great because they're scalable. As Jim resizes this apple, it doesn't get jerky. This is using a vector technology we've built into QuickTime 3.0, available, of course, for Mac and Windows. This Apple logo is 1.7K. It's smaller than a bitmap would be for downloading this, but it's scalable. So you make it any size, and it'll look great. And it's anti-alias, so there's no jaggies on the edges. It's a really nice, simple-to-use technology, and we provide the ability to convert QuickDraw GX shapes into this painlessly for those of you using GX. I'd like to show you an example done by Larry Software using our sprite track combination with vectors and tween track. You can see we have gradient support in our sprite engine and our vector engine. So this entire movie, which is an entirely appropriate kind of thing for a web page, is about, using the tween stuff, is about 12K. It's very small. We're actually working on making it even smaller. It will scale. It plays back great on any machine. And it's entirely appropriate for web and multimedia delivery. Something you can do, again, with QuickTime 3.0. So let's go back now to slides. I think it's also important to mention here that almost everything we're showing we're going to be explaining in detail during some of the breakout sessions over the next couple days. QuickTime on the internet. A little while ago, we figured out the internet is very important. Last year, we shipped simultaneously for Macintosh and Windows the ability to stream QuickTime movies from any web server. works with Netscape Navigator, works with CyberDog, works with Internet Explorer. As you can see, just from the Sprite demo, we've been working to make our support for the Internet even better by introducing more low bitrate data types into QuickTime, so that you'll have more choices of how to use QuickTime technology on the Internet. What I'd like to do is show you a couple demonstrations of the ways that we are providing improved capabilities on the Internet with QuickTime. Start out on the Windows machine. Correct? So we're going to show first, QuickTime video data types have not traditionally been tuned for the web. We have added in QuickTime 3.0. Cinepack was designed for CD-ROM. JPEG is designed for professional uses. Other people are doing things such as H.263 or 261. We have added to QuickTime 3.0 support for H.263, so that built into QuickTime is a low data rate video format. As low as 2K a second, you can send video using QuickTime. Now the thing is, that's great for 28.8 modem, but different people have different connections, different speed connections. When I go to a web page and that web page has multiple different versions on it, it's very confusing for me. I see this web page that was very beautifully designed. It's click here for 28.8, click here for 14.4, click here for T1. This is not a great user experience. QuickTime 3.0 has a built-in control panel that lets the user specify what their connection is. There's a system-wide setting that your application will be able to read from as well, so that you don't have to provide that as well. So now when we reload this web page, since we've upped our network capability, it automatically comes up with a higher quality, bigger version of the same movie. With QuickTime, we're really trying to address the whole problem. We're not just trying to provide a good video solution, but a fully integrated solution, something that addresses the needs of the graphic designers and the webmasters, so that they don't have to put up multiple versions of the same content. And of course, we're working with people like Terran Interactive to update their Media Cleaner Pro product so that it will be able to automatically author these. So you'll just say, I would like these 3 different versions, hit a button, go away, have some dinner, come back, and it'll be done. Now, we've done some other things. Take a look at the Sprite movie. I'm sorry, yes. So we're going to switch to the Macintosh.
No, Windows.
Oh.
You want to do Sprite?
Yeah, okay, we're there. Thank you. What we've got here is a QuickTime Sprite movie. You don't see the play bar. And what we use this for is an animated image map, something you can't do on the Internet today. You can have animated GIFs, or you can have image maps, but you can't really combine both in interesting ways. With QuickTime Sprite Engine in 3.0, when we click on one of the different logos, we automatically go to the page associated with it. So if we go back and click on, for example, the Motorola, we go to the Motorola page. So again, some very practical, simple things. So this is not an example of a technology such as, for example, Vermal, that is saying we're going to reshape the way the entire web works. This is a technology that recognizes what the web is today and tries to improve it in very simple and useful ways. Let's take a look at a way that we can use this slightly differently, but the same basic technology, by coming over to the Macintosh. What we have here is a QuickTime movie that contains a QuickDraw 3D model. So again, an example of integration in the QuickTime media layer. Now, we are not in a browser right now, but we have built the URL linking capability into QuickTime itself, not just into the browser. So that when Jim clicks on a different piece of the truck, what it actually does is launches his browser using a great little piece of technology called Internet Config, and takes him to the associated web page. Now he goes back to the truck and clicks on a different place. We'll go to a different web page. So we can associate different links with different pieces of the model. This could be embedded in a web page, or this could be separate. What's nice is your application, for example, if you have a CD-ROM, can be connected back to the Internet, back to a browser, without you having to do almost any additional work at all. Now, this has been an example of how you can go from Movie Player to a browser to get to the Internet. The thing is, we thought it would be kind of cool if we could just bring the Internet to Movie Player. Movie Player is kind of our application of choice. We don't actually like to run anything but that in the MPW shell on our machines. So what we've got here is a very small movie that Jim is just going to do a get info on to show you. Hopefully just a few K, which is not actually a movie, but a reference,
300 bytes.
300 bytes, which is just a reference back to a website. So he's going to open that in Movie Player. This is just the same old Movie Player. And what you're going to see is a progressive download of the small version of this movie that you would have seen before. Now let's go and change that data rate. And again, show you the system level service here on the Macintosh as well. So we'll reopen that same movie in Movie Player, and we'll go back to the server and get a different version of it because now we have a faster connection. This is actually doing progressive download. We are connecting back to an HTTP server to go get this movie and download it as the user requests it. This means that you can support progressive downloading in your application with literally no changes today. Now, we thought that was kind of nice, but we also wanted to do one other thing. QuickTime has all these layers. That's why we call it the QuickTime Media layer. So this I/O layer, the thing that we use to go read from an HTTP site or an FTP site, is a public API. So if you want to go and read some data from a website in your application, you can actually call QuickTime to do that. And with just about 4 lines of code in your application, you can go and fetch any URL that's out there in the world. So QuickTime is getting to be a pretty bizarre technology that draws pictures and, goes and gets web data. But it works the same on Mac, same on Windows. Okay, so let's come back to slides. Thank you. Come back to slides and talk for a minute about some other internet issues. What we're doing today on the internet is called progressive download. Lots of people, especially those out there selling big fancy file servers and web servers, say that QuickTime isn't doing real streaming. That what it's doing ain't no good. It's just not right because it's not real streaming. That's true. It isn't real streaming. But the QuickTime plugin solves a bunch of problems, including no firewall problems, working off of any web server, so you don't have to go buy a special web server just because you want to put up a couple videos. These were really important to us. We wanted anybody to be able to put video on the web, not just people who have big fancy servers. However, if you have money, those big fancy servers do have some advantages, including the ability to do broadcasting or multicast to multiple people. We have been working on adding streaming capabilities to QuickTime. This is not something that we will ship for QuickTime 3.0, but we will ship on top of QuickTime 3.0. Now, why does it matter that Apple is adding streaming capability? Why is it different if QuickTime supports streaming than if other vendors support streaming? The answers are simple. Everybody's using QuickTime to edit their content today. There's no better file format for storing video. There's no better file format for storing multimedia in general. You should be able to take that QuickTime file, put it on any web server, and have it streamed. With QuickTime streaming technology, you'll be able to do that. No more wasted time converting something to stream it. The other thing that's very important is for years, QuickTime has recognized there are a lot of other data types besides sound and video. You should be able to stream sprites. You should be able to stream 3D. You should be able to stream MIDI. You should be able to stream text. In fact, you should be able to stream anything you can put in a QuickTime movie. And that's what our intent is to give you the ability to do. So you don't have to think about what are the limitations of my delivery engine. QuickTime streaming will give you the ability to stream anything that QuickTime can do. What I'd like to do is show you a demo of an early prototype that we've been working on of QuickTime streaming. Got a Macintosh here. We're connected to a streaming server in the back. Strangely enough, written entirely in Java. There's a couple things. It's got a QuickTime movie on it, and what we're going to do is open that QuickTime movie, and you'll see it streaming in here. It takes, what's going to happen now is Jim's going to hit the play button, makes the connection back to the server, requesting it to play. It takes a moment for it to get started. It buffers up a few seconds of video. And then what you see is this QuickTime movie of an old Apple commercial streaming in live. So this is using a H.261 codec, which is very typical for streaming today on the internet. You'll notice the play bar is a little different. You don't have full control over the stream because the streaming servers at this time don't support those protocols. We gray out those controls so you don't have to worry about it. We can also, as a typical QuickTime movie, adjust the size of the movie. It's actually something most streaming guys don't let you do today for some strange reason. You can also adjust the volume using standard QuickTime controls. See, it's over there. Right, so we hit the end of the movie. So that's showing how you can stream a QuickTime movie. But there's something else that streaming is used for on the internet, and that is for broadcasts, multicast. In fact, I believe this session is being multicast. We've got another server in the back, a Precept server, which is broadcasting a standard RTP stream, which we are able to tune into using QuickTime streaming technology. And again, we're doing this just in the existing application. We can adjust the volume, We can resize it just like any other QuickTime movie. What this means is any application using QuickTime is able to tune in to network broadcasts of multimedia data, again, without any changes. Same on any platform. And of course, it takes advantage of varying network quality scalability. So that's streaming. Oh, one more demo, I'm sorry. I apologize. Integration is kind of important, though. As I said, we're not just going to give you a streaming solution. We're going to give you the ability to combine it with other aspects of the QuickTime media layer. So we've got here is a QuickTime VR scene, a walkthrough, something you've probably seen done before, but it's a little bit different this time. What we're going to do is ring the doorbell,
Ding dong.
and we're going to go through the door. And actually, when the door opens, it's using a QuickTime video movie to display that. We'll go through. We've got this room here. You can see the standard prop down on the floor there. It's the television. When we click on that television, we tune back in to that web broadcast from that Precept server, right in the QuickTime VR scene. So we are able to combine VR very easily with these new technologies such as streaming, and you will be able to do this as well without any compatibility woes, without any kinds of problems, to create unique, rich multimedia experiences that can't be created using any active or direct technologies. So we've talked about Macintosh, we've talked about Windows. Let's talk a little bit about QuickTime on some other platforms. If we can go back to slides, please. As I said, QuickTime has become a very pervasive standard. In the last year, Silicon Graphics has actually standardized on QuickTime as their preferred method for storing digital media. And we've worked together with Silicon Graphics to make sure that QuickTime remains a great container for professional quality media. Silicon Graphics has a lot of background there, and we've learned a lot from them. Companies like Cytex and Media 100 have standardized on QuickTime as the format for storing their digital video. Now, Cytex and Silicon Graphics don't use QuickTime software on their platforms today, but they use a QuickTime file format because they know that it's the best file format that's out there. QuickTime is so flexible that people just go there to make sure that their products are interoperability. Each platform has unique capabilities. Silicon Graphics platform is great for authoring. It's really not, your ideal delivery platform. That's why we do a Windows 95 and a Macintosh version of QuickTime. So QuickTime will have different uses, different primary uses on each platform. What about this other platform? What's this Java thing? That's definitely an important platform. Just like the internet, that's very important. What are we doing about it? We're going to make sure that QuickTime works in Java just the way you expect it. Does that mean we're going to rewrite QuickTime in Java? No. QuickTime is on every platform. QuickTime gets excellent performance on every platform. We will make sure you can write applets that take advantage of QuickTime, and those applets will work on any platform that QuickTime is deployed on. Of course, that means it'll work in the yellow box, it'll work in the blue box, it'll work on Mac OS, it'll work on Windows. So you'll be able to write applications that take advantage of QuickTime in Java. Now, some people have asked why we haven't done this earlier, and the answer is because the market hasn't been there to tell us what exactly we're supposed to do. It's not our approach to just put out something to meet the latest buzzword. When you do that, you end up with lots of different products with confusing names and version numbers that roll up to version 5.0 way before their time. And developers have to constantly learn new technologies. QuickTime, for the last 6 years, has used the same APIs. If you wrote a QuickTime application following our guidelines 6 years ago, it would be able to play just about every movie we've showed you here today with no changes. We want to get our APIs right so that you don't have to keep relearning things and so that they work. So we're taking our time on the Java stuff. We will deploy something this year, but we're waiting to hear from developers on what exactly that should be. It's not our job to tell you what it should be. It's your job to tell us. That's why we have feedback forums with these things, and I hope you'll come and tell us what you think we should be doing. But let's move on to another platform, one that you've probably heard a little bit about at this show. Rhapsody. As you saw in the video, we tried some different techniques to get QuickTime to actually work on Rhapsody. When it came right down to it, we actually thought maybe we should write some code. So we did that. Why is QuickTime interesting on Rhapsody? Is it just another platform? What's the big deal? You would expect QuickTime to be available on Rhapsody. You should expect it. And of course it will be there. But what's the unique aspect of Rhapsody that's going to make having QuickTime on Rhapsody very interesting? I think we've all been impressed with the app builder demonstrations that the next platform has. how easy it is to construct simple tools or even complicated tools very quickly. One of the biggest problems we have with QuickTime today is it has so many features that it's hard to get tools written quickly that let you take advantage of all those different features. So you're seeing in QuickTime 3.0 here, we have dozens of new features. If each of you would just pick a few of them, we might have enough tools. Using traditional techniques. Using Rhapsody's app builder, we should be able to create tools very quickly that enable users, customers, authoring people to create great QuickTime content using the latest features very quickly. So we really think Rhapsody is going to be a fantastic authoring platform for QuickTime from the very start. And of course, because Rhapsody is really an industrial strength OS with great multitasking, memory protection, a native file system, we expect to see performance benefits. I'm not going to tell you what they are yet because we don't know, but we expect they're going to be there. Let's take a look at this. You've seen a little bit of it before during the show. I'll show you a couple things that are maybe a little different. We can switch to the next machine. I thought the QuickTime logo looked pretty nice up there actually next to the next logo. So what we're going to do is open up a video movie, one that pretty much is necessary to prove that it's QuickTime. Just open this here. Classic QuickTime clip. If you see that video, you know it must be QuickTime. But what's important here to see is that we are actually porting all of QuickTime, including the user interface elements. Earlier during the show, they showed you QuickTime. They haven't showed to you with all the user interface widgets. Of course, we'll have a native look for the next platform so that we'll fit in and look just like we should, but we'll also have options to use the standard QuickTime controls as well. It's also, I think, a really great indication of how solid Rhapsody is going to be and how portable the QuickTime codebase is that we're able to get this much working so soon. But this is just sound and video. And what we need to do is take a look at, to really see how we're doing at moving QuickTime to Rhapsody, is look at some things that aren't so traditional. We've talked about sprites, so let's look at that a little bit more. Here's a sprite movie, one you may have seen at least a picture of in MacWeek. We can just play this. And you see it's using another of our special effects, the ripple special effect. This is actually making the fish ripple, not pre-rendered, but calculating that on the fly. If Jim clicks on the video, or on the sprite, excuse me, he can actually create waves in the water. So all of this technology moves to Rhapsody, including sound, will be available when you get Rhapsody, when you expect it to be, and it will work just the same. Don't worry about new APIs. QuickTime APIs are the same everywhere. The same to the point where you'll always be able to call new geoloads and have it work. So, yeah, it's good to have nice animations. So that's the QuickTime on Rhapsody. Now, what I'd like to talk about for the remainder of the session is QuickTime Interactive. This is really sort of the essence of what the QuickTime Media Layer is about. It's really the ability to combine all of the different technologies that we have, video, sound, 3D, virtual reality, into a single multimedia experience. We add standard ways to use interactivity into QuickTime. Why would we do this? We need a single solution, a single place where all this stuff can live. We need easy ways to do this. We don't see alternatives out there today that provide that. What are we trying to accomplish? A couple different things, but almost all of them are focused at the developer. The first one is to make sure that authoring tools can work together. If you're creating a multimedia presentation today, whether it's for delivery over the internet, or whether it's for delivery on a CD-ROM or on the desktop platform, the first decision you make is what tool you're going to use. And once you make that decision, you can never change your mind, and you can never use any other tool. There's no interoperability between any of the multimedia authoring tools today. If you use Apple Media Tool, or you use HyperCard, use Director, use mFactory, all great tools for certain purposes. But if you're doing a real multimedia presentation, you actually probably would be better off using different aspects of each one. Our goal in QuickTime Interactive is to provide the same flexibility in multimedia authoring that we've created for video authoring, where you don't worry about which tool you're always going to use. You can use Premiere for part of your job, After Effects, Photoshop, SoundEdit, and it's a seamless process. This makes creating content much easier. It means that users will have a good reason to have multiple tools, not just one. And for developers, what this means is that you don't have to write a player application for every platform that you're targeting your multimedia presentation. Most of the shipping delays in multimedia software today is in the player, not the authoring part. Players are just tedious. They're not fun to write. QuickTime is a built-in player for multimedia presentations. Now, all this sounds a little abstract, but I think the easiest thing to do is actually just show it to you. We showed you a little bit of this last year, and frankly, I wish we were shipping it this year. But we discovered that Windows development is a little harder than we had anticipated. So we had to slide that schedule out a little bit, but we're still aggressively pursuing this QuickTime Interactive, and you'll see exactly what we're doing here. We'll do this demonstration on a Macintosh. What I'd like to do first is show you an example of something that we put together. This is just a QuickTime movie, opened under QuickTime Interactive in Movie Player. You'll notice there's no play bar because you don't just play this movie, you play with this movie. So what Jim's going to do, one of the first complaints that we get from developers is, I don't like the standard QuickTime movie controller. I need it to look different. QuickTime Interactive gives you the ability to easily create controllers. So Jim's got down here a little QuickTime Interactive movie controller.
Look at that. It's a bird. Now it's shaking it.
And we've got some audio controls over here. So there's two audio tracks. We can bring down the sound, or we can bring up the narration track.
No, I think he's gonna. Yep, he hit the tree. George, what are you doing? Look at that.
We can also rewind the video using the standard control. And if we don't like the way these things are arranged, we can rearrange it. We can put the audio controls on top of the player. And we can move these around. Customizable for the user as well as the developer. And we can use the sound as well, which is important for a moment here so I can talk. What you're seeing here is a couple different things. Full interactivity, using some pretty sophisticated kinds of knobs and controls, completely customizable, of course, and video being combined. What you can't tell from this, and what we're going to show you here in just a minute, is that there's no code behind this. When we created this, we didn't have to write a single line of code to actually do any of this controlling. When I saw the next demonstrations that Steve Jobs did at Macworld, he made a great point, which is the line of code which you debug the least, that causes the fewest problems, that works the longest, is the one you never write. And so with QuickTime Interactive, we're trying to follow that paradigm and make sure that as many things as possible are just built in, that just work with data-driven approach as opposed to scripting. So what we're going to do is show you an example of how we created some of these controllers without having to do any scripting. Instead of recreating that example, what we'd like to do is show you how we can control a 3D model. So we've got here is a chair, one of the standard 3D models you've probably seen. And built into QuickTime Interactive is the ability to control a 3D model, as you'd expect. Still a little jumpy, but basically there. So 3D is a standard data type, as you'd expect, in QuickTime Interactive. So we can control it, but we don't have, what we'd like to do is connect up a slider that controls the rotation. So let's go grab another standard part, a slider. And Jim can show you that the slider actually works here, just on its own, if he goes into play mode. There you go. What we'd like to do is connect that slider to the chair. What we're going to do is take a look at, it's a little confusing, but bear with us. Take a look at the properties of the chair. So bring up its sort of an inspector, if you will, and go down to the rotation. We'll take the X rotation parameter, and what we're building here is a little patch bay. So what we want to do is use the X rotation parameter from the chair. We want to use the control output from the slider. So we've got these two values here, and we're just going to patch them together. And what we're going to do is configure that patch to describe that the slider moves from values 0 to 1, but that the rotation should move from 0 to 2 pi, so that we go through full rotation. So now what you see is once he hits OK, that those things are connected and it just works. You can patch any properties together with any kinds of scaling you want in QuickTime Interactive. You can, in fact, do automated things where you can attach this to time and have the chair rotating by itself, again, without writing any code. This application we're showing you is an application that we're developing for our test purposes. This is not intended to be a professional multimedia authoring tool. But what you'll find is that, as you saw, it has some capabilities which tools that are out there today can't match. Another thing that we think is really important, when you get multimedia content today, you get a picture. And then you maybe get some scripts. You get a bunch of pictures. Here we've got some pictures from last year. What we need to do is get to this year's picture. When you drag this in, drag and drop is pretty typical, but what you'd expect is that to just be a picture that we then script. But it's a full object. It has sounds associated with it, it has multiple frames of video, and it has a behavior. So when we click on it, it knows to jump. This makes it really trivial to create clip objects that you can reuse in any application. And I said that this application was something we're using for testing. Apple is fortunate to have, right there, he's going to be rebooting. Yeah, well, had to happen. Apple is fortunate to have, in addition to a great Max bug, an application called HyperCard. HyperCard was the original multimedia authoring tool. It's what most of us learned how to script on. It's a scripting language most of us prefer to use if given a choice. HyperCard has been stuck in black and white for a while. What we're looking at is a way to take advantage of HyperCard. We first thought about using HyperCard as a way, providing a way to save a HyperCard movie into QuickTime Interactive so that we could deploy those cross-platform. That seemed like a great solution. And that's in fact what we do with Apple Media Tool. We can save an Apple Media Tool project to HyperCard, to QuickTime Interactive, and we can deploy that on any platform. But we went a step further. With HyperCard, we actually use QuickTime for everything. A HyperCard stack is no more. HyperCard is a QuickTime movie editor. Everything that you're doing is operating directly on a QuickTime movie, which means that HyperCard gets integrated color because QuickTime has integrated color. HyperCard has great video support because QuickTime has great video support. HyperCard stacks become cross-platform because QuickTime is cross-platform. What we're going to do now, hopefully, is show you HyperCard. This was working just fine a moment ago. So what we'll do is just drag. We've actually got a suite set up down the hall where tomorrow from, I believe, 11 to 2, we'll be going through some of this in more depth if you want to see some more details for QuickTime Interactive. But what we'll do is bring in the Kangaroo. We need to switch to authoring mode here. You see, it really is like HyperCard, nice tear-off palettes, just like you would think they should be, just in color now. Let's bring the Kangaroo in. So you can see the same Kangaroo comes into HyperCard, has the exact same behaviors. So there's something unique already, which is one form of scripting and animation moving between two different authoring tools. Something that's not usually possible. But let's do some things that are a little bit more specific to HyperCard, which is bring in a picture as a button. What we'd like to do is now have that button control the Kangaroo. It wouldn't be HyperCard unless there were HyperTalk. So bring up the script editor, and Jim's going to put a simple script in here. The thing you have to realize here is everything in QuickTime is components. So just like I told you before, that you'll be able to use our internet data handlers to read data in any application into the internet. You can use the HyperTalk scripting language from any application because it's built into QuickTime Interactive. So it can be a standard scripting language as part of what you do. Now Jim has scripted it so that when he clicks on the penguin, it controls the Kangaroo. So we're controlling something that wasn't even created in this particular application. So far we've only done things with one card, with one scene. You really need to be able to do multiple scenes. So we're going to bring in a button, which is already pre-scripted to go to the next card, create another card, and bring in another picture and another button. Now we go back to play mode and try this out, and you see a couple different things. First thing is that it doesn't always work right the first time, but after that it's fine. What we are doing is moving between cards. We're using visual transitions. The visual transitions are important. The visual transitions are the same technology you saw before in the professional video demonstration. We have this technology called QuickTime Media Layer, and we can reuse pieces of it in different ways. We don't need a 3D technology for the 3D market and a different one for the internet market. We use the same one because our technologies can span those markets. We don't build an effects engine which is specific to the video market and then another one which is specific to the multimedia market. We use these technologies and leverage them highly so that you don't have to keep learning new things and you can take advantage of these technologies in any place. So HyperCard now has all the cool access to all the cool transitions that we showed you before. Okay, so let's take this out of HyperCard, and you'll notice we didn't click Save because you don't save in HyperCard. It just automatically does it for you as you go. Let's open that HyperCard stack in Movie Player. Let's go and do that just to show you that what HyperCard was operating on the whole time It was a QuickTime movie. You see all the same behaviors. Penguin still works, Kangaroo still jumps, and we still get garbage the first time when we transition to the next card. Something to point out here that's equally important is because we have QuickTime supported on the internet today through the QuickTime plugin, I could go and stick this on my HTTP server and it would work in any net browser as well. It's a great solution for delivering all kinds of interactivity. It's a great solution as a front end for applications as well. We have a lot of people looking at it as ways to control applications, not just to deliver multimedia. So we've got here something we put together, again, using a couple different things, using HyperCard, using Photoshop, using some 3D programs, using QTI Make, all combined in one thing. Everything you're seeing on the screen right now is pretty much not controlled by code except for just a couple tiny little places. Almost everything's automated. The animation engine that's built in can take care of doing these sort of character loops of walking or shooting the gun without you having to do any code. You just say, I would like it to be walking left now, and it automatically switches to that loop. So Jim can drag these characters around. Yep, not quite yet. If he clicks on them, he can also use the keys to move them, to change the positions. So the H, J, K, there you go. So we have complete control of them from the keys. We also, as Jim was showing you just a moment ago, can have controllers that control these patched together the same way the 3D controllers were. So there's a joystick. We can move those Martians around. We got one on the other side. The Martian's name is Taro, by the way, for those of you wondering. And again, this controller, all of this motion is completely controlled without scripting. The only scripting that you've seen so far really is when you roll the mouse over the joystick, it has a set visible to true. And when you roll it away, it has a set visible to false. And that's it. So we've created a simple scene here. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. But let's take a look behind the scenes. It's a little bit of what's controlling this. So what we're going to do is turn on like the sort of secret behind the scenes view. What you can see down on the bottom right is a pan knob. And as Jim moves that, it controls the speed of the animation. The animations are controlled by a clock. It's pretty reasonable. QuickTime has great timing services. The foundation of QuickTime is time. So we take advantage of that in the animation services so we can speed things up, slow them down. Now that's controlling each individual animation, but you see that master clock in the sky. If we go and adjust the speed on that, it controls both of them. So we have the ability to control the speed of individual elements, but also to have a world clock that controls all of them. And all of the timing is patched together, again, without having to write any code. Your applications can easily generate QuickTime movies that control these sorts of things. If you have presentation packages, anything that's putting out data sets, QuickTime Interactive is a great way to deliver those. Rich animation capabilities, great control capabilities, high performance, supported on every platform. So we think QuickTime Interactive is going to really sort of cement the QuickTime media layer together. It's going to provide a way in a single movie to effortlessly combine 3D, VR, streaming, video, and different kinds of controls, and to do it easily. We think Java is great. In fact, we will support Java in QuickTime Interactive so that you can use Java for scripting if you want to. We also support C for scripting. We also support HyperTalk. These are all important, but we think that having to write fewer scripts is the most important thing, so that's what we're aiming for. So we can go back to slides now. So it's actually really great for me to be able to stand up here and talk about QuickTime today, because one of the things that's really, really nice about it is that it's a well-established standard. I don't have to stand up here and tell you about what our plans are to compete with other technologies and other vendors. There is nobody else doing anything like this out there. Because you've had the good sense to choose Macintosh, you get to use it first. You get to come here and see it all at the developers conference before anybody else. But that technology will be available on every platform that you need it for. You can do your authoring tools on Macintosh. You can make sure that that content will be delivered on Windows, be delivered on Rhapsody, be delivered anywhere it needs to be delivered. QuickTime is not a B-grade solution. QuickTime is state-of-the-art. We're doing things that nobody else is doing. We're doing things that other people are trying to do, but we're doing them better. By choosing QuickTime, by choosing the QuickTime media layer, you are not getting B-grade solutions. You're getting state-of-the-art, the best stuff that's out there. And beyond that, we make sure all those things work together so you don't have to. You don't have to think, wouldn't it be interesting if I could combine video with VR? We've already done that. It works. So you don't have to suffer through the integration nightmares yourself. The services reach across all markets. interesting thing is products created for one market using QuickTime sometimes end up getting used in others. So because you use QuickTime, you have the ability to easily reach across market segments as well as platforms. And as you can see from the demonstrations we're showing you, we're continuing to absolutely aggressively move these things forward. We aren't standing still. We've been working on this stuff for the last 6 years. We continue to work on it. We want to make it the best technology that it can be. It's really a platform for delivering media. We want to hear your feedback. We want you to come to the other sessions that are going on for VR, 3D, and QuickTime today and tomorrow. We encourage you to come to the feedback forum and tell us what you like and what you don't like. I'd like to thank you for getting up so early this morning. I'd like to thank my team for putting this stuff together. I'd like to thank the crew for making it all work. And that's about it. Thank you.